All right, we are live and on air with today's landing page review webinar. Um, we love to do these, and have them a bit more interactive. So we've got a lot of pages queued up, probably more than we can handle. If you're in attendance in today's webinar, we love to prioritize people that are there so we can make it a lot more interactive for you guys, and we can get some feedback about the pages. And everything that you see. I'd like to say there's always, for people that are paying customers of Kickoff Labs, we can do a more in-depth analysis of pages and your campaigns if you'd like, looking at your analytics. And the feedback we're giving on these pages is very top-level, low-hanging fruit type of feedback. You can always dig in more when you start looking at somebody's specific campaign and and the analytics and the customers that they're going after. But the value should be pretty clear. I mean, we're going to go through these pages and we're going to suggest some tests that you could be running, suggest some changes or improvements to the page. And most of the people who have gone through and implemented these, generally shortly after the Hangouts, have had a pretty good improvement in their conversion rates after going through these reviews. So I'm really happy with that. Really happy we keep getting people coming to the reviews and submitting pages to be reviewed. A little bit of housekeeping. So I am missing my logo at the bottom, but rather than spend time putting it up, I am Josh Ledgard, one of the founders of Kickoff Labs. If you didn't know, our software is designed to make lead generation campaigns extremely simple. We offer landing pages and opt-in forms that can be embedded on your website to be used to run contests, webinar sign-up pages, webinar pages, thank you pages, social referral pages. We help with a ton of different types of campaigns. And we'll spend a little bit of time at the end of the webinar also going over some new features within our product that we have. I can see we've got a couple people introducing themselves here, and so we've got Umang from costclub.co.in, and Antadre would love a review as well. And we've got a couple of those pages queued up already. So. And joining me today is Izzy. So he's the marketing guru at Kickoff Labs. So I'll let Izzy introduce himself.
Hi everybody. Thanks for joining us again. And I have my little magnifying glass here because we're going to be going through your landing pages, making sure that checking that everything is just right, so you get your maximum conversion rate from your landing pages. And we're going to be suggesting some A/B testing as well. Talking about some of the new Kickoff Labs A/B testing features, and let's get into tearing down your pages. Hopefully, we'll be nice, but we're also in it for your benefit. So any comments that we do make, just remember that we're doing them with the best of intentions.
All right. So I'm going to start right out with Antadre. He's here. They're here on the chat. They'd love a review of their page, what they're doing. All right. So I pull up the page. The first thing that stuck out to me on this page was this large A, the logo here. It felt like it took up an awful lot of the space. My eyes were drawn towards the center here of the logo. It didn't necessarily draw my eyes down towards the text or to the call to action below. So my suggestion in a case like this is if you could do an update to this where this tall the image where the A might be slightly smaller in size, or maybe in line with the text Antadre, and you can scoot the entire page up. Would be my first bit of feedback. So then we see the name Antadre, and we see the subheadline Exclusive Diamond Designs Home Boutique Service, and then Jewelry 2.0, and then Request. I would say, because I haven't scrolled down yet on the page, I don't know it's still hard for me to tell exactly what you're offering. So maybe while you're on the chat, you could explain maybe a little bit more detail about what you're doing while we're going through the rest of the page, and then maybe we can suggest some alternatives. But obviously, there's some sort of service to the there's some sort of service to do diamond designs. Maybe it's unique to the individual. Maybe it's designs you can customize, sort of like 3D printing for diamonds. I don't know, but it's hard to know what this is exactly and why I should sign up. And those are the two basic things that I look for, especially on a page like this, which is a pre-launch, which is, do I understand what it is that I would be signing up for, that the product is, and what should I, and why would I do it to sign up today? And so then the call to action right above the form is Jewelry 2.0. I'd expect more of a call to action, like, get in first, be the beta, get a free sample, get behind the scenes access, something that would motivate me to sign up and would fit with the request, like request early access, request to get in early, request my download, something that fits in with some incentive here on the page. So now scrolling a little bit more, which I would hope I wouldn't have to do if you made the A smaller at the top. Now I see sign up now for early access and incentives. So early access is something that's a little bit of an incentive. I would put this text really up here. I would use this bottom bar really for just the actual footer within the location, and have this text be closer to the form that's here. The other piece of this is the and incentives is a really general thing. It doesn't really tell me what I'd be giving. It works better to do something concrete. Like, let's say you're going to be selling something as an e-commerce site or store. The incentive would be 10% off your first order if you sign up before we launch, or 10% off your first order. Just something really simple and really concrete. To just say incentives doesn't pull people in as much as being really specific about what the incentives could be on the page. And I would and so if you're hearing this, and I think looking at the chat, going back to the top, yes, what are you selling on the page? I was trying to be mysterious and pique curiosity, and Neek says a little too mysterious. We're a fine fashion jewelry line that's launching in a few months. We'll be providing a home try program a la Warby Parker. I'll tone down the mystery. Not all. Neek says not all women like diamonds, but custom jewelry. Antidre says a less mystery, more detail. So that's it. That's exactly it. So to the statement of yes, the mystery. You're still going to be leaving a lot of mystery. You could put screenshots, you could put pictures of the diamonds, you could put a whole lot of detail. There's still a lot of mystery that's going to be going around in terms of, like, what is the price. You can still leave the mystery of we're going to be Jewelry 2.0, or we're defining Jewelry 2.0, and you could still even leave a tagline about what that means specifically to your customers. And because it'll be a new concept, there's still mystery there. What I found is that we're beyond the stage where you can get people to sign up just because of the mystery. That those pages don't typically work as well. A few years ago, when everybody was doing these very mysterious, really simple pages, it might have worked to have just something awesome is coming and sign up now. But people have been burned by so many of those campaigns that never launched and never went anywhere, that people are a lot more hesitant to sign up when there's not much detail. So when in doubt, unless you've got a genius mystery and a genius reveal plan, I always tell people you're much better off to be really specific and about what you're doing and what they're going to get with the information. Izzy, do you have any comments you wanted to add to this page?
Sure. I actually agree with all of what you said regarding just adding some more information to the page where you can talk about a little bit about about the service, what you're offering. Antandre, they were mentioning that it's kind of like a try-on service a la Warby Parker, and actually I would probably probably test out using that as a possible headline because of so many people being aware of the brand of Warby Parker. You can actually probably just kind of like blend that in how a lot of startups do. We're the Uber for pet transportation. For example, Entendre, you guys could be the Warby Parker for diamond. For custom jewelry, and I think that kind of speaks to like a more broad and a general audience because they kind of understand those services already, and you don't have to provide so much information up front, and you can still have that like mystery because people somewhat understand what the brand does and kind of what the brand is about. That would be my input, Josh.
Yeah, I like the suggestion about that you had about adding the comparable. I think that's a really powerful tool to say we're like this for this because you're going to be getting more people. The other downside to the discussion of hipster.com and the conversion rates of being more mysterious is that you end up getting the wrong customers signed up. So let's say you do have a great mysterious campaign they're up there, and you get 30% of the people that show up end up converting, and you get 10,000 people signed up. But then when you start telling more people what it is, they realize that you signed up the wrong people, that you weren't getting people that were actually going to buy your product. You're much better off getting a 20% conversion rate by giving some more details because some people opted out because it wasn't for them, but the people who opted in more understood what they were getting into and were ready to buy than you would at a 30% conversion rate because you kept things mysterious. And that would be a little bit that's the other problem I see with people who do more mysterious pages is they tend to, even when they launch, they realize that not as many people as they were hoping follow through, and then you realize reviewing their launch strategy that the problem was they had the wrong people on their launch list because they didn't exclude the people up front looking at the landing page, and they included too many people that were the wrong customers on their landing page. And then let's see. Next page. So I saw a couple pages. I believe I have one which was Top. Was it Top Gear? Somewhere in there was here. So if you're here, introduce yourself, say a little bit more about the business. I know I have it somewhere.
It's tophost.gr. It should be the last.
Tophost.gr. There we are.
And then afterwards, let's go ahead and review costclub.co.in. Also asking.
Okay. We'll start with the tophost.gr. So this isn't as much of a landing page as it is the home page of the service. I cannot read the page, so I'm not going to be very helpful in terms of the actual copy that's on the page looking at it. But I see right away when I look at it, there's a phone number which evokes a certain amount of trust. At the top of the page, there's a live chat where I can get more information which evokes some trust. There's a shopping cart which implies I can buy something. I'm assuming that this is about web hosting. This is kind of interesting as I go around. There's this animation here. I don't have data on whether or not the subtle animation like this helps or hurts. I find anything like this distracting. I'm not sure that it adds any value. If you look, you can see the mountains moving as I move the mouse across the screen. I'm not sure that it really adds value to the page. And there's kind of two call to actions here. There's this primary call to action, which is the big red button, which takes me to the plans and pricing page. And then there's this secondary call to action, which I assume is a domain search, and I'll enter something in here. And that tells me whether or not the domain is available, I assume, so it takes me there. And I think it's fine to have two calls to action for people that are ready to go and say purchase today, and that is the primary one. It is called out as primary with the big red, and the secondary one, which is search. Although I would consider moving the second one a little further away from the primary one, So I would take the next bit of copy that you have here, which is sort of reasons why people should buy, maybe put this bit of copy right up next to underneath this button is the second thing people see. The third thing people see being search your domain. So using that search for domain as a break between these sections, because it is your secondary thing. What you really want people to do is to click on this primary call to action, to click on the pricing, to actually start a purchase. And so I would separate the two so that this doesn't take away from people that would click on the red button here on the top of the page. Izzy, do you want to share some 2 cents on the page?
Sure, real quick. I went ahead and hit Google Translate, and yes, they are effectively a web hosting service. I just wanted to quickly mention on the animations that, I mean, you say that you find them distracting. In a lot of cases, I actually find them, that they look a little bit amateurish, in my opinion. I mean, if you start looking at a lot of the top sites, I'm just going to pull up a quick example here of a website that I really like, and they're a domain provider as well. Well, they do like domains and stuff like that. A very professional company. Obviously, you may have heard of them. They're called DigitalOcean, and they have some really nice elements on their page. They have some nice drawings here. But see these animations, they're somewhat subtle, and they kind of they give emphasis to what's really going on. But these animations, on the other hand, they look just they really don't emphasize anything on the page. I'm just moving around my mouse. Okay, here the mouse. I'm sorry. The buttons here, they have somewhat of an odd hover, which I'm not particularly fond of. Maybe I'm being a little bit too mean, but those little things, those little user interactions, they have a lot to do with how, in my opinion, with how your brand is seen online. So you want to come off as professional as possible, and like I said, in my opinion, this looks somewhat amateurish. It looks somewhat like a WordPress site, and whenever I think about WordPress sites, I think about somebody who just threw a website quickly together, and that's not really in it for the long haul. So that's my quick mention. That's my quick feedback. Josh, do you want to go ahead and move on to the next page?
Yep, I've got it up here. So we talked about, we mentioned Cost Club. Wholesale is the landing page. So the first thing I noticed was this was the Cost Club logo in the corner, which is not a bad thing. I noticed that. The image relates directly to what you do. It looks like you've got these bulk, large number of items here, which fits right in with the Cost Club thing. Join the wholesale revolution at costclub.com. Grocery, detergents, toilets, household need, office supplies, and more. It explains what you're doing. I'm maybe a little bit picky about the copy, because the first thing you're telling me to do is join the wholesale revolution at this website, which is not actually this website. I'm sure they're related, but if I look at the address being costclub.co.in and then this Cost Club membership, which is a link here, you're going to be taking away from this other call to action on the page, which I think is your primary call to action of the free voucher. I certainly wouldn't make this a link like it is today. So this text right here is a link. I would unlink it if you're going to leave it there. I would just say join our wholesale revolution at Cost Club without the internet address, because then you're not directing people away from this page. You seem like you want them to apply through this page or to get started through this page. So then the next thing I noticed, you're giving a free $100 voucher on a minimum purchase, or not $100, but 100 credits with a purchase, and it looks like your text is over here to sign up. Again, be a little picky about the copy. The big image over here says voucher, but over here you say coupon code and then coupon here. I would keep it consistent. so that way it feels more trustworthy, where if you say free coupon, this should say get the free coupon, and then this should say coupon over here, or voucher, either way. So it should say voucher here or get my voucher here on this. There's no placeholder text in the email. It's just a small thing. I think it can be helpful to say, something fun like, enter your best email address, or, free, gotmyvoucher.com, like some sort of fake email address as a placeholder text to the text that would show up in here and disappear when somebody puts their cursor in, can be helpful. It seems fairly obvious. I'm not sure you need the microcopy for indicates required. When there's only one field and it's the email address, somebody tries to enter it and press this button without it, it's not going to let them do anything. You might consider an error that pops up if they try without it, but it would let you get rid of this indicates required. You can leave the star in here. It's just that I'm not sure you would you need the star and the text when it's not a very long form. It's just you're literally just asking for an email address, and if they can't figure that out between this and the placeholder and this, you'll still have a pop-up message that says, hey, we need your email address. Where are we going to send the coupon to? And that would be useful. So if you scroll the page a little more, you see what is Cost Club, and you've got this the copy here. Cost Club is a membership wholesale club. I don't necessarily focus too much on these reviews on the micro copy or the smaller copy. Changing this is going to make really like a small thing, a small amount. What's kind of missing is the what. You're giving the what. You might try changing this to, why join Cost Club, or why. So instead of just being a what, because you've sort of said the what up here, like it's a wholesale revolution. If somebody hasn't filled out this voucher by now and they're scrolling down on the page, the thing that they're looking for is a reason why. And so think about if they've skipped over the form and they're looking for the reason why, I would phrase it that way, like, why should you join the Cost Club? It can be almost the same copy, but instead of being focused on the what's of your product, you're focused on the why they specifically should. So from them, from their perspective. So being and like I said, it's a subtle change, but it's a powerful one, because instead of just bragging about what you do, you can brag about why it's going to help their lives. So you'll get access to. You could pay with you'll pay the lowest prices. Instead of saying guaranteed low prices, pay the lowest prices. Free next day. It's a subtle change, but the focus on the why is going to help people feel more trustworthy. The call to action here being this dark red and this black, I sort of feel like this button could stand out more, or this form could stand out more instead of being dark red within red. There's just something that I wish this form stood out more, because your eyes get drawn to the logo in the corner, this voucher image here, and then the copy below, and I wish the form stood out a little bit more on the page. You've got a video here to watch. The page is so short, I'm not sure why not just inline the video below this text, and then separate this text in the button with the video actually in line here. There's room on the page. It's already below your call to action form. You might get more people watching the video that way. And again, the visit site is a little bit competitive, but this one is at least down lower than the primary call to action. So I think it's fine to have it down lower, like see more reasons or something. Instead of just saying visit site, saying like see more reasons to join. And then leave it, and then that gives them another reason to actually click through, as opposed to just saying visit site. Explain why they should do it in this copy. Izzy, do you have anything you wanted to add in?
Yes, real quick. I just wanted to show you guys just how quick and easy it is just to make a couple changes. What I was going to suggest on this site was actually just to remove that required text that was right here, and like Josh said, I mean, you want your your form and your form button to be more obvious. So basically what I did, I just made it 100% width, just so it takes up most of the form space, and it's just a little bit more obvious. What I would possibly even do is change this. I mean, you probably can't see my mouse too much. Sorry about that. But I would change the form red and the free 100 rupee voucher. I would switch this for the black of the for the background color of the black button, and the button color I would make it the red, just so it's a little bit more obvious on the page. And I would actually probably gray out these buttons, probably make these black or like a darker gray. But just optimizing your form a little bit and not driving people away from your page with external links. Like you have 2 links to this, to the same Cost Club page here, but you want people to start taking action on your page and then eventually lead them to there. So Josh had some great suggestions, and those are my suggestions.
Cool. Izzy, do you want to tackle one of the questions that came up? I'd love to hear your opinion. So Jason in the chat asked thoughts on single versus double opt-in, and my assumption is he's talking about email capture as single versus double opt-in.
Right. Well, I do really like that question. I saw that question, and it's actually interesting to answer, because when you're talking about double opt-in, there's plus and benefit. I mean, there's pros and cons to each. Obviously, if you're trying to sign up people as fast as possible, you don't want to give them that extra step of sending them that confirmation email, where people will sign up to your mailing list. Usually, actually, the ones that always send this are MailChimp. So MailChimp, what they'll do once you sign up on their list, they'll send you a confirmation email, which you have to click. So in my eyes, that's taking action 2 times, and that twice, that double action, it's going to prevent people from wanting to take that final step, in my opinion. However, using a good double opt-in, if it's done correctly, your leads will be of higher quality. Josh, could you kind of explain a little bit? I know you're busy pulling up a cool page for us, but could you dive into the double opt-in for us, because you're a little bit more of the expert on the email marketing side?
Yeah, I think, as you said, there's pros and cons to the argument of double versus single opt-in. My thing about it is I tend to prefer the single opt-in, as long as it's very obvious on every mail for them as a way for where they can opt out. Because the thing that everybody tries to prevent is emails being marked as spam. Because if you start getting emails marked as spam on your domain, as emails that you're sending, is less likely the next ones are going to go through to that customer or to other customers. And so that's why MailChimp, Campaign Monitor, Aweber, they really push people, or they'll even some companies will give discounts if you do double opt-in through email, because it makes their email delivery simpler to do, and means that a higher percentage of them will go through. Now, that said, I think that it's complicated to do the double opt-in, because to do it right, you need to do a few things. You need to, when somebody signs up on the thank you message, you need to actually say, check your email to confirm in order to receive whatever you ask them to receive. You want to remind them to get that to do that extra step, and then most of those email services on their double opt-in mail, and the mail that says opt-in, I see a lot of people just use the generic text. That email, then, you should customize to say, to be more specific about why the person should opt in. So you have to remind them again why they wanted to opt in the first place. It shouldn't be very long, because they don't want you to use that email as your marketing email. But you can add a few lines to those emails that says, hey, the reason you wanted to opt in is so that we could deliver this great value to you, this coupon to use, this PDF report to you, and you want to use that instead of their default mail. You want to edit that so that it gives them a reason. And if you do that, you'll start seeing a much higher double opt-in, much higher opt-in rate of people that actually follow through on the steps. If you remind them on the thank you page to look for the email, and then on that email you remind them again why it's worth it for them to sign up. And if you do those steps consistently, then you'll, like Izzy said, you can have a higher quality list. You will see a higher percentage open rate and a higher percentage click-through rate on things. We don't in a lot of our emails, but it's frankly at the scale we're at. One of my reasons not to do it is just because I think to do it right requires all those extra steps. And at the moment, we're just not looking to take all those extra steps on the different lists that we have. And I'm perfectly happy to make it very obvious for people to unsubscribe from our lists. And I actually don't mind and encourage people to unsubscribe if they don't want to see our emails, which is the other approach to take in terms of emails, is making it really easy to unsubscribe.
Really quick, just to mention, Josh. Is it possible to circumvent double opt-in with Kickoff Labs, just so our viewers are aware?
So we don't do a double opt-in for just sending out the initial automatic reply email at Kickoff Labs. We do sync with services like Aweber and MailChimp, and we do offer the ability to push somebody right onto the list onto both of those services. Without forcing them to go through the double opt-in step. People combine. I see customers do all sorts of ways. I see customers that just skip our email stuff and do the double opt-in with MailChimp. We have customers that use our service to send the initial auto response and then also have MailChimp send the double opt-in saying, hey, do you want to join our list in the long term? And then I see people that do the other way, which is the full single opt-in, being I'm going to send you my auto response and I'm just going to opt you in to the rest of the emails that we send.
I was asking that because one of our guests, Nick, she was mentioning that in order to get past that double opt-in, she's learning how to code a custom form. So I mean, it's not 100% necessary to code your own stuff, right?
You could use a Kickoff Labs form.
There you go.
Your own form. So yeah, that's the pros and cons. I do think email deliverability is constantly getting harder and harder to maintain, and I do think we'll see more people and email services cracking down on it in the future. And so, like I said, that's why I mentioned the best practices. If you're going to do a double opt-in, the ways to do it right in terms of keeping people reminded, incentivized to go through each step of the process. So that said, let's move on to the next page to review. Let me share my screen again. All right, so we're looking at this screen, Gods of Mayhem on Bitbucket here, and there's this animation happening. I personally find with the text right over the animation that it generally makes the text harder to read. And there's something funky with the animation, at least in Safari, and I don't know if it comes through across on the webinar with the way that the images jump and then go back to this green.
It does come across, yes.
Yeah, and so it's got a weird behavior, so it's not just animating these images. The only one that seems to stick around is this first image. The rest of them animate across and then go back to green. So first of all, I would kill the animation. Second of all, if you're going to have the animation behind the text, I would make sure it's functioning the way you intend it to function. And third of all, I would make sure that on all of the images that show up, that the text is very readable, which is not the case, I think, in this image that comes up. Some of the images have the text being much more readable than others on the page. I love the headline to get people into it. How Hollywood got esports all wrong, because that in terms of, we had the discussion earlier over piquing curiosity. This is a headline designed to pique curiosity because the it makes you immediately say, well, I understand esports, but what do you mean by Hollywood got it all wrong? But then the follow-up says, not yet. If the Gods of Mayhem have anything to do with it, coming soon. This text to me doesn't follow this text at the top. It's like you're saying, we're not going to tell you yet if we have anything to do with it. ... Now again, you're being way too opaque about what's happening. And then you have this generic, our site is not ready yet, but we are coming soon text here. And then a countdown, and then all of these social buttons down here. And so this is again where I would say, I love the first headline. I think you need to follow up with something that explains, a bit about why or what you're doing to do it wrong, or at least just say, we are going to get it right to find out more, which leads me to my next thing. There's no call to action on this page. You should be signing people up to an email list or asking them to do something for you. Just having these share buttons on the page is not doing anything. Is not doing anything for you. Most people probably aren't clicking them. Most people probably aren't sharing the page. You want to first have that incentivized call to action, which is why I said, you've got such a great teaser. You can use that as, we're going to get it right. Find out how. Enter your email address. We're coming soon. If you do it that way, then you've got incentive and a reason and a call to action for people to do something today on the page. The countdown clock is probably not necessary on the page because what are you counting down to? And what if you missed that date? Now, if it was a contest and you said there's only 29 days left to enter or a week left to enter, the countdown adds incentive because you've only got a week to enter. But really, what is the countdown doing for the person that comes to the page? Saying that you're coming in 29 days? Great, so should I come back to this page in 29 days? Who's going to let me know? I don't know, because you didn't capture my email address when I came to the page. And so that's my bit of feedback on the page. Izzy, do you have a few recommendations?
Nothing too specific. I mean, the thing that I don't like about the page initially is this text here. I'm not sure if you can see on my screen, but the background image has some text that says "Keep Chaos and Menace Mayhem" or something like that. But it overlays over this text and it's hard to read. Just makes it hard to read. This makes the headline also hard to read. So I would just keep a static background image, possibly the one that's currently on the screen. The one without all the distracting elements. And like Josh said, there's no call to action on the page other than clicking away from the page. And obviously, that's not what you want people doing. I mean, yes, you want people following your social accounts and following you on social media, reading your blog posts. But this is just too much stuff here. I mean, you want people to follow you on Google, Twitter, on Tumblr, your GitHub, your LinkedIn. Do you really need all these call to actions? And with all these call to actions, why are you not adding that email collection box? I mean, that's something that's just vital for your launch. So it needs to be up there. That's my main suggestion.
So from the chat, Neek said, it was to get people the deadline. The countdown was a deadline to finish and launch. I get that that's a motivational thing for you guys and your team. Like I said, it's not something that impacts the customers on the page. It doesn't help them, and so I would really think about taking that off and replacing it with the email call to action replacing with the email sign-up form. Because there's no reason to have a countdown. You can keep an internal countdown or an internal version of the page somewhere, and still have the that personal thing. You wanted to direct them, so the reason for all of these things, you wanted to direct them to social media interaction. You can do that after you collect their email address. You can say, hey, here's some more information that we promised for signing up. Follow us on these locations. The reason I suggest that over the social interaction is because every study done, even in the last year, shows that email interaction is worlds more effective for any brand than the social interactions here. And the social interactions, the reason I say that is just, think about like Facebook, for example, as a pay-to-play. You could have 1,000 fans on Facebook, but every message you post, because of Facebook's algorithm, you're going to get seen by 3% ever in the newsfeed, unless you start doing things like paying Facebook to boost that. Even then, you'll get it up to 10 or 20%, whereas email, the chances are much closer to 30 to 40% people are going to see your email blast. And so
what I'm thinking, Josh.
Go ahead.
Real quick, Josh. Well, I mean, I just have a quick comment and a quick question for you. Do you think it's possible that pushing people to your social media accounts, is it possible for you to spur some kind of virality? That's what people might be trying to do by pushing people to their social accounts. I mean, you don't want 10 followers, 100 followers. You want hundreds of thousands of followers. I mean, is it a good move to put those social buttons on your page?
So people are looking for the virality, and again, that's why with Kickoff Labs, what we do is we push them to the social sides after you've captured their email to share it. And basically thinking about it this way, which is, right now you haven't launched, you don't have a reason for people to be sharing this particular page unless you give them one. Right? So nobody wants to go and share about this page on Twitter unless you give them a reason to share. So, for example, what you can do with our software is say, once they enter their email address, give them a link and say, hey, get 3 more people to sign up and we'll give you something. We'll give you early access, we'll give you a coupon, and then you can get your virality coming from that share.
Another quick comment, Josh. Dominique is she's saying that she hates getting emails, so that's why she didn't think that they're useful.
Yeah, that's a pretty common thing. It's everybody has their own personal biases in terms of how they prefer to receive information. And I do think a good marketing campaign considers that some people prefer to read news through Facebook, some people prefer to read it on blog subscriptions, some people prefer to read it in email. But the most powerful one by far is the email one.
Yeah, so do not discard it.
And the other thing about it is, if you have a concrete call to action, you can actually measure that more simply, because if you're eventually going to have a product for purchase or something, or you're going to want people to do, and you have a concrete call to action, you can measure and see how effective your text on the page is at convincing people to take a call to action, which is a much more effective measure down the road of how easily that copy will then get people to understand what it is you're about and to buy something. And then the other comment about it being lost in all the filters. If you think email is filtered, that was why my comment about 3%. Most social media accounts are extremely filtered. Than in terms of getting through. Twitter, although it's not filtered, the noise on Twitter, everything is buried within less than an hour on most people's Twitter feeds. They'll never see it again after the first hour.
Just the pure speed of Twitter. I mean, your content isn't as seen as you think it is.
So Jason asked for feedback on the design. He's not done on this page, so rally now. Not a network, a night work. We won't spam. You hear me railing against animations. they were slow to bring up the call to action in the page. So the first thing I saw was coming soon on this page, and then it faded this in, and then it faded the call to action in. I would literally just start with the page like this. It's not much. So the advantage you have of the animations on some page is sometimes it makes the page look simpler. You already have a simple page. Just to bring up the page without the animation first is going to be more powerful. The second thing is the text on the page of coming soon. I would swap this out with your logo and your brand. So Rally, I would put that Rally logo in the place where the coming soon is, because immediately if I look at a page and the first thing I see is coming soon, I kind of want to leave. I don't want to stay there and look at it. I'd like to just, I was like, oh, there's nothing here for me, let me leave. But if you have your logo, and then it makes me want to read what it is from the logo, not a network, a night work, and then you have your call to action, and then maybe after it you explain, we're coming soon, what your incentive is to sign up. It'll be a lot more powerful. Izzy, I'm sure there's a few more things you can mention about this page.
Well, I mean, changing that logo is really going to give you that aura that there's more behind your brand, because as Josh said, whenever somebody arrives, whenever I arrive on a page and I do see coming soon, it's like, well, there's nothing behind closed doors, so there's nothing for me here. So so just avoid using that like coming soon, and maybe also providing some more information on the page. I mean, you obviously know exactly what your product is going to be in the near future, but I somewhat understand. I mean, it's a network, but it's a night work, so it's a social network for people that like working at night or just like night owls and stuff like that. Just providing a little bit more information on the page always helps leaps and bounds, because I mean, people are going to be visiting the page. You only have a few seconds, and I mean, if you're wasting those seconds with just empty space, there's no point. And in my opinion, there's no point in having such an empty page. I like the graphic. I like that the graphic isn't animated. That is just like a static background image. Gives it like a nice classy feel. It's a nice basic page. Let's see what happens when I sign up. I'm curious. I know it's in development, and I just get pushed to a standard MailChimp. So we were talking about double opt-in. This is basically what the double opt-in looks like with MailChimp, and something you could get around using Kickoff Labs if you don't really want to use this. But also, like we said, filtering and segmenting your subscriber base once you have those inside of MailChimp to keep those subscribers clean. But all in all, it's a great page. Looks nice. I like this logo, but it's just a little bit different from the one that you had in your previous page. Just to keep that in mind as well. I think that's my input, Josh. Mm-hmm.
I'd say the thing that he's missing, and we could do a page with that. You could easily do that same design within our service, and we could help with that. Is thinking about what happens after somebody signs up. So he's missing out on the virality. So just to give an example of a basic page with Kickoff Labs, that virality, when they sign up, we generate the share links on the page, and then make it easy for people to share via email or the other social networks. And that boost generally increases conversions by about 35% across our customers. If you incentivize it, it could be up to 50 to 45 or 50 to 60%. But you're missing out on a huge opportunity for a pre-launch not having, or any campaign not having this opportunity to share, because this is your chance to take somebody who is engaged enough to enter their email address and ask them to do something else for you. And so not doing that is just a missed opportunity. It works for our customers, and I know it'll work for the purpose that you have here. That said, I wanted to show something that's kind of surprising. I'm always preaching simpler is better for most people, for most cases. So we launched, before Christmas, we launched A/B testing at Kickoff Labs. And one of the first A/B tests we ran was actually on this webinar sign-up page. And to show the screenshots of what the test looked like, I'll pull up the screenshots because they've taken the test down for the purpose of actually having the chat up. But to show the screenshot, we tested this page, the review that some of you saw, with this copy at the top, the form here on the side, the information here as well on the page, and then the recaps about the author, or about us on the page. There's a decent amount of information on this page. And then to see if Simpler would work better, we compared that against this version of the sign-up page. So much simpler, literally just one of our black box templates, asking the same amount of information, just the form's a little bigger here, and getting people to sign up for the reviews, and to get their landing pages reviewed today, January 8th. So this is the one that we had. Now to show the results of that, I'll show the results of that test. Kickoff Labs. So does anybody on the chat have a guess of which one they think worked better?
Takes a few seconds, but let's see if they respond to us.
Let's see if there is a response before I actually show this. To actually show which one works better. And let me see if I can pull this up while I'm waiting for a response. So we ran it for about 20 days. You can see the test tab within Kickoff Labs in a campaign. Within the campaign, you can see we had both pages here. So we created 2 pages. Each page has an option to start a test and compare it against a page. So if I were to start another test, I could say start A/B test. I could choose the name of the test, a description about it, who I want to compare it against, and how often I want to show. So you could take it and say show one variation 80%, one variation 20%. It's helpful if you've got a page that you know converts well, but you want to compare it with some of your traffic, but not 50%. You can change it, and then you start the test. It's real simple to get started there. And let's see, has anybody replied with their guess over which one did better versus the other? We have 1 vote for simple, 1 vote for the longer one.
I originally said the longer one, so.
My assumption, and it's important to go into A/B tests with an assumption. My assumption was that the longer one was going to kill the simpler one, because I literally spent 20 minutes writing the simpler one, where I'd spent a much longer time preparing the longer page for folks to look at. And so my assumption was, I just kind of wanted to test. My assumption was the longer one was going to kill it. And then if I view the results, B, which is the simple page down here, you can see the simple one, destroyed it. So it was 116% improvement. The conversion rate was 18.4% versus 8.5% with a 90% confidence in the test. And so the simpler one, it kept winning. I mean, I kept trying to improve the other one, and the simpler one, just kept winning. And so just as a note, now when I say it's simple, it still gets across the point of the point of the product. So if I view this page in here in the editor, just so you can kind of see it again. I'm not being mysterious or anything on the page. It's actually very to the point. Landing page reviews. Add your page now. We'll review your landing pages. So it's sort of the same text like 3 times, plus the sign up, and then the link again, so that people could see the archives, but it buries those links on the page. And then the background image we made related to what we're doing. Say we're pointing out things, saying, "Hey, check out this," versus "check out this" on the page. And the simpler one performed much better than the other one. The other one did. So anyway, that's a quick overview of A/B testing at Kickoff Labs. Something we launched pretty recently. Makes it easy to compare 2 very different pages to one another. You could also just start from this page and say create a copy of this page and do a variation of the headline or the copy.
But I find it powerful to start with big variations and then start to zero in on bigger updates. So from that, we took that learning and created the page for our next chat, which is going to be with Rob Walling. So if anybody's heard of Rob Walling, he makes the product Drip, also hosts the podcast Startup for the Rest of Us. And so our next chat is next week, January 15th, same time. The location will be on this marketing automation page. And Rob's going to talk about how startups and existing companies can leverage marketing automation within their email marketing. It's important to think about how you would automate your email marketing and marketing automation for a launch as well as an existing company. And for a launch especially, what you don't want to have happen is you get somebody to sign up and you never contact them for 6 months and then you send them an email. You really want to be making that connection throughout your launch period, and marketing automation can help with that. We're fans of the Drip product. We use it for our landing page 107 email course, and Rob's got some fantastic content that he's going to present at next week's chat. I would have, had I not seen those test results, spent a lot of time building a much more complex page for this. Instead, I just took our simple template, dropped our images in, and created a much simpler page, which is converting, closer to what I would expect. What I was seeing from the other one, around 20% on the conversion rate there. Izzy, any parting words you want to give people? Parting advice?
No, I mean, my main advice is to open up your Kickoff Labs account if you haven't yet, and jump in, start trying out the A/B testing, because it's really worth it.
Yep, the A/B testing you're gonna learn a lot, and then trying out for especially those people launching or running contests, the virality. We didn't go through a lot of the pages today, but I know a lot of the pages weren't leveraging the virality features, so the social sharing after people sign up would be a big win for most people. So try out Kickoff Labs. Let us know what you think. We love to hear feedback, and looking forward to seeing you guys at the next chat when we talk about marketing automation. Have a great rest of your day.